Well, I believe that we are living in the last generation on planet Earth as it is today. And I believe that God is getting everyone's attention.
What would you say if you knew your time was almost up? If you had spent decades uncovering secrets buried for thousands of years, secrets that could shake the faith of the entire world, what would your last message be? For Ron Wyatt, the man who claimed to have discovered Noah's Ark, the Red Sea crossing, Mount Sinai, and even the Ark of the Covenant, his final words weren't just about archaeology. They were a warning to humanity, a final message for the last generation before the return of Christ. Ron Wyatt didn't mince words. He looked straight to the camera and said, "I believe we are living in the last generation on planet Earth as it is today. And I believe that God is getting everyone's attention so that no one will be lost without having had the chance to see the truth and accept it." Ron believed these discoveries. The Ark, the Red Sea chariot wheels, Noah's Ark weren't found by chance. He believed they were revealed by God himself, now at the very end of time, to give the world one last chance to turn back before judgment falls. What he said in this interview is absolutely insane. And what comes next is about to shock you.
I believe that I was the only one that volunteered at the time when God was ready to reveal all these things. And like my critics say, it's impossible for one person to find all these things.
Think about that. Ron believed he was handpicked by God to be the one to reveal these final clues to humanity. Not because he was the smartest or the most talented, but because he said yes. Critics mocked him. They said it was impossible for one man to find so many biblical sites. Ron agreed. It is impossible. Then he said something powerful.
But all things are possible through God. And he simply revealed all of these things in a manner where no one should be misled as to who has revealed this. I'm not clever enough to have found all these places and objects. So this is something that God has taken into his own hands and is doing a show and tell presentation of his treasures, his archaeological treasures, in a manner that is designed to strengthen the faith of the believers and to convince those who have seen no good reason to believe what Christians have to say.
But here's where things take a turn. Ron explained why no one found these sites earlier. If Noah's Ark had been discovered 1,000 years ago, it would have been stripped for souvenirs, or worse, turned into a shrine. Instead, Ron believed God hid these discoveries until the last days so that when they were revealed, they would carry maximum impact. Undeniable proof for a world that has grown skeptical, rebellious, and cold. Ron's final message wasn't just about evidence, it was about preparation. It's a warning for what is coming. Just listen to what he said next.
You and I must have a perfect relationship with God so that we can survive the coming of the Lord, because all sinners will not survive that experience.
That line hits like a thunderclap. This wasn't just a man sharing cool archaeology. This was a man warning that the king is coming soon, and that only those who are ready will make it through. And here's where things start to get dark. Ron then warned that Satan would do everything possible to confuse people before the real discoveries came to light. He said Satan raised up dishonest explorers and fake claims about Noah's Ark, the Red Sea crossing, and the other biblical sites, all to cloud the truth that make people doubt the real evidence when it finally appeared.
Satan has been around and was present at all the major events that have happened. The flood, for example, and the landing of Noah's Ark. He has known exactly where that boat remains were. And he has become aware that God is preserving these things. It's my belief that when Satan realized that God was going to bring these things out to convince people of the truth and historical accuracy of the Bible, that he raised up individuals who he could influence to be less than honest.
Doesn't that sound familiar? Every year we see headlines about scientists finding Noah's Ark, only for them to quietly disappear when no evidence is produced. Ron's advice? Test everything. Look for real, documented evidence, not just clickbait headlines. Ron quoted Jesus saying, "As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man comes." He pointed out that in Noah's day, the world had scientists, experts, and philosophers who mocked Noah, just like today. And in the end, only 8 people entered the ark. Ron's warning was clear. Don't let the voices of the world drown out the voice of God. Seek the truth for yourself, because the time of decision is running out. But how do we know this for sure? Just take a look at this.
And we have provided evidence that is irrefutable. There's a large number of people that don't come to see the presentations because of the comments that these so-called scientists and specialists in the fields have made. Well, that's sad, and there's no way to help anybody that won't go and see things for themselves.
Ron was careful to document everything he found. Photographs, measurements, samples, because he knew people would need more than words. But he also knew that evidence alone isn't enough. You have to be willing to look at it, willing to go see for yourself, willing to let God speak to your heart. But let's take a pause for a moment, because just before Ron left the interview, something insane happened. Ron ended his message with a plea that feels like it was meant for us right now.
God will enlighten our minds and help us understand the truth, but only if we ask Him. And we must ask Him in the name and blood of His Son, because that is the provision that has been made for all of us.
That was Ron Wyatt's last warning. Not just about history, not just about archaeology, but about eternity. He believed we are the last generation. He believed these discoveries were God's final message to wake us up. And he believed that the only way to survive what's coming is to be right with God. Today, not tomorrow. Ron left us with more than evidence. He left us with a choice. Do we shrug this off as another conspiracy theory? Or do we let it shake us awake? Because if Ron Wyatt was right, if these discoveries are real, then the countdown has already begun.